Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about something that's been a huge part of my life, which is therapy. Now, before you roll your eyes at me and assume that I'm going to give you some self-help lecture, chill, because that's not what I'm about. This is me just being brutally honest with my journey. Sometimes the funny parts, sometimes the heavy parts, and all the messy moments when it comes to therapy that no one really tells you before you start. Because let me tell you, I went in thinking I was going to sit on some sort of couch, cry a little and have a bit of a breakthrough, and walk out healed in 3 sessions. Spoiler alert. Because that's not how it works. And for the record, I am so self-aware that sometimes my own therapist questions why I'm even there. She'll tilt her head at me most times and think, you already know the answer to this. And I reply with, yeah, but I kind of want to feel validated and that's why I'm here. So one of the first things I wish I knew before going into therapy is that therapy is not instant. I had this vision in my mind where I would go in, blab whatever I need to blab, cry a little bit, heal a little bit, have some massive epiphany and come out healed. But the truth is, therapy is painfully slow. And when I say painfully slow, it's because you think a 45-minute session will be enough for you to unpack everything that's happened in your life, but it absolutely is not. Sometimes you just focus on one tiny portion of the bigger picture that you need to explain, and you're just scratching the surface half of the time. It feels slow because you spend a lot of the time talking, and sometimes you feel like you're going around in circles. Like, how many times can I talk about my childhood? How many times can I say that, yeah, I struggle with anxiety? And how many times do I have to repeat that I have trauma from past relationships? But that is the whole point. Therapy is not a quick fix solution. It's about identifying your patterns. It's about peeling back layers until you realize why you react in a certain way, why you keep ending up in the same situations, and why you talk to yourself the way you do. And honestly, the hardest part is sometimes you know what the problem is. I knew a lot and I was very self-aware going in. I can fully psychoanalyze myself like a champ, but knowing that isn't the same as healing. Therapy forces you to sit with it. You say it out loud, and then you have to figure out what the hell you're going to do with that information. Another thing I wish I knew before starting therapy is sometimes you leave therapy really pissed off. Like, you're paying the person to listen to you, and then they say something to you that makes you want to scream. My therapist has said some things where I literally thought to myself, you did not just come for me like that. But here is the thing, that is where growth happens. If you want someone to just agree with everything you have to say, nod and say yes, then call your bestie. Therapy is about being challenged. It's about sitting in the uncomfortable feelings. And it's sometimes sitting there and being called out for your bullshit. And yeah, sometimes you're going to walk out and be like, well, that was a waste of $150. Only to realize that days later, your therapist was actually right. Okay, let's talk about therapy hangover, which is another thing I wish I knew before going into therapy. You know how after a big night out, you wake up and you feel like shit? We've all been there. Therapy can feel like that, but emotionally. You unload all of this stuff in one session, you have a cry, you become self-aware, you were sitting there unpacking things that you didn't even realize were an issue. And then you leave and you feel really heavy because you have to sit with these feelings and all of the things you just unloaded to your therapist. That is completely normal. It does not mean that therapy isn't working. It means that your brain and your body are processing what the hell just happened. Sometimes I literally need a nap after therapy. Like, I just feel so mentally drained. So yeah, therapy hangovers are definitely a thing. I definitely give myself some time to breathe, relax, and be alone in the space that I need to. This one is super important. You don't have to be falling apart to go to therapy. I used to think therapy was for people that literally hit rock bottom. Like, you had to be in a complete crisis stress mode to even justify going. That is absolutely not true. For me, I was fully functioning and fully aware of my circumstances. I was going through a rough patch and a lot of trauma at the time. On the outside, people probably thought I was doing fine. But inside, I was super anxious. I was dealing with some relationship PTSD, some trauma, some things happened. And honestly, I was tired of just carrying all of that on my own. Therapy does not mean that you are weak. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you want to understand yourself better, which is what I wanted for myself. And even though I'm very self-aware, having someone hold up a mirror and saying to me, "Do you notice this pattern?" has been honestly life-changing for me. So if you are waiting for your life to completely fall apart before you start therapy, don't. You honestly deserve to start before you crash and burn. Therapy is also not passive. You have to show up, you have to do the work. You can't just vent and leave. For me, that means journaling, reflecting, and trying strategies that my therapist has given me. Sometimes she'll give me homework. Something like try jotting down every time you think negatively about yourself. As you all know, I do have body dysmorphia, and I'm very hard on myself, especially when it comes to my psoriasis scars and my stretch marks. And when she asks me to do things like this, I honestly stomp my foot and think, ugh, do I have to? But it honestly works wonders for me. The people who get the most out of therapy are the ones who take what happens in that room and apply it to the outside world. Otherwise, you're just paying for very expensive chats. So yeah, therapy is a lot of work. It's not fun, but it is very, very worth it. Here's a funny one. Being very self-aware in therapy can be a blessing and a curse at the same time. And I wish I knew that before starting. Like I said, my therapist sometimes looks at me and says, "You already know this." And a lot of the time she is right. I'll sit there, I'll analyze myself, laying out my own patterns, and basically doing her job for her. But here is what I've learned about self-awareness. Self-awareness does not usually equal self-compassion. I can know all the reasons why I am the way I am, but that doesn't automatically mean I treat myself with kindness. And therapy has helped me bridge that gap. So if you are super self-aware, please do not write off therapy because you think you don't need it, because knowing isn't the same as healing. The other thing that I wish I knew before starting therapy is that when you find the right therapist, they truly do become your person. It feels like dating. You confide in this person, you trust in this person, you value what they have to say to you. And I truly do feel this way about my therapist. She is the best. And yeah, I'm just so thankful that I know this information now. I wish I knew it going in, that finding the right therapist truly does feel like your person. So yes, these are the big things I wish I knew before starting therapy. It's not instant and you're not going to like it. It does feel very uncomfortable, but without feeling uncomfortable, where will the growth be? It takes work, self-awareness, and finding the right therapist for you. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. Please like and share this video if you enjoyed it. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any more videos from me. I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye.